think we'll call the March 23rd, 2017 regular meeting of the Owensboro Public School Board to order. We'll begin with the superintendent's report.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Welcome to everyone. We're very glad to have members of our cheerleading squads here who we're honoring for their performance in state and national competitions. So congratulations to everyone I know that's here for that. Want to also recognize the great work that's being done with our fine arts festivals. If you haven't had a chance to go down to any of the performances, we've had orchestra, band, and choir. We still have theater and dance coming next week, and it's amazing, and you can see the quality of the program that we have in this school system and the dedication that this board has had to the arts. I also want to just say very briefly, I'm sorry, and of course the back of the room is barren because all the visual arts displays are down at the River Park Center, so we have a lot of students that have visual art displayed down there, so you can go and see that from now and between now and next week. I also want to address there are several things that have been happening as far as schools with the state and federal government. Obviously, the administration budget proposal has called for, I think, what are historically significant cuts to education. So we would encourage everybody, members of this board and others, to actively engage with our members of Congress and try to advocate support for public education, particularly those programs that impact our students and those programs that impact some of our more disadvantaged students, which many of these cuts do. And then the last thing I wanted to mention is that the state just recently enacted charter school legislation, and there have been a lot of questions that I've had over the last few weeks. I think it was signed yesterday as to what that means for our school system, and I'm happy to say that we, as a group of superintendents, this school board, and members of our staff in this school district have been very actively involved in advocating for changes to the original bill that was written. And the bill that we ended up with, I think, is a pretty strong middle road. It's a very moderate approach to charter schools. While I am fearful that some of the things that could happen statewide in charter schools could impact funding for us, I think that overall the impact that we'll see here will be minimal. As you know, we have in this district several innovation models that we put forth, and one of the real strong advantages of the charter school movement is to create an innovative approach to education. We have an innovation program within our high school, the Bluegrass Scholars. We have an innovation program for students to go to high school in the Innovation Academy, and we announced earlier this month an innovation middle model that we're going to begin working on. So I think that while there may be some interest in that, I think our school district is really well positioned because we are effectively creating those models within the context of our system, and I think that's where there's strength in that. There is some concern that will lead to some privatization, some private companies and some folks with other agendas to come in and set charters. And the one thing that I will say that comes out of this legislation is that this board will have the sole authority to authorize anything that comes. So they will be able to reflect upon what the impact will be for the students of this district and for the financial and resource implications. And I think the fact that we are already providing those sorts of innovative options for students will give this board a lot of leeway in being able to make those decisions, even if they have to turn down some of those potential private options. So I think we're well positioned, but it is something that I think is could have been a lot worse than it is. So the centrist approach is one that we worked hard to get, and I'm thankful that things have worked out the way they have. So I appreciate the work that you guys did, and I know many of you had conversations with members of our legislative delegation on that, and like I said, it could have been a lot worse than what we ended up with. So that's all good, and that's all I have.
I believe that's Ms. Cabot. Sarah Price.
See that they didn't.
I have more. They're not supposed to order, but some of them aren't here. I'll tell you that. I'm Heather Cabot. I don't need a microphone. So I am the coach of the Black Squad cheerleaders. These are my cheerleaders right here. And we finished second place in Kentucky, state runner-up right here, this group. And we also finished sixth at nationals, the UCA nationals. So, and we had a lot of seniors this year. We had 7 seniors this year. And 1 junior, so we still have a lot of younger kids returning for next year. So I will tell you who they are and what grade they're in. This is Courtney Austin. She is a junior. Emily Boyd is a freshman. Zeke Brown is playing baseball, so he is not here. Hadley Duval is a freshman. Madison Embry is a sophomore. Hadley Fogel is an 8th grader. Tripp Grenier is a senior. Zach Gross is a senior. Alyssa Harrington is a senior. Bree Johnson is a freshman. Bailey McAllister is not here. She is playing softball. Nevaeh McCampbell is a freshman. Hunter Morris is not here. He's playing football today. Mason Perry is a freshman. Rihanna Pickrell is an 8th grader. Megan Proctor is a freshman. Diamond Shimwell is a sophomore. Will Smith is a senior. And then on the end, we have Decoria Winstead, who is also a senior.
Hey, I am Sarah Price, and I am the cheer coach for the Red Squad. We finished first at the UCA Bluegrass Regional in Lexington, and then we finished 16th at UCA Nationals in Disney World in February, which was really, really awesome considering we had several injuries that we had to overcome in the last 7 days before we left. So. You can see we still have some remnants of our broken ankles up here. So we're all recovering nicely. I had 8 seniors, so I'm very sad to see them leave, but I have a huge group of freshmen up here, and then a couple 8th graders also. So we have a very young squad coming up, and I know they're going to do awesome things in this next year as well. So I will introduce them. First I have Caitlin All. She's a freshman.
Are they in order?
Yes, they are.
A couple of them I know, some of them I don't.
Alyssa is not. Alyssa is not here. She can't be here. And then Angel Kennedy, she is a freshman. Samantha Carrico could not be here either. Then we have Dawson Clark, he's a sophomore. Nick Cox is a freshman. Laura Duncan is a sophomore. Alyssa Eldridge, a junior.
Thank you.
Kendall Fitzgerald's a senior. Sydney Ford is a junior. Kiara Hagan is a freshman. Destiny Hatchett is a sophomore. Sarah Huser is a freshman. Chloe Hoffman is an 8th grader. Julia Kimbrell is a sophomore. Nala Lindsay is a senior. Brianna McGrath is a freshman. Haley Newton is a freshman. Alexis Poole could not be here with us. Deja Powell is an 8th grader. Madison and Sydney. Madison Bowles is a senior. Sydney Vowles is a sophomore. Madeline Wonker is a senior. Taylor Watson couldn't be here today. Kyla Wells is a senior. And then Elizabeth Williams could not be here today. So this is the 2016-17 Red Squad.